I'm Shibani Joshi, and today we're talking about ways small businesses can embrace technology and form critical partnerships. And we want this to be an interactive session, and we'd love your input right off of the top. We hope you'll take a moment to fill out the poll and even ask our panelists questions so we can address your needs throughout this session. And with that, let's just get right to it. Joining me today is Comcast Rise Executive Director, Regan Yeldell. Hi, Regan.
Hi there. Good afternoon.
And Christian Nascimento. He's Comcast Business's VP of Product Management and Strategy. Good to see you, Christian.
Good to see you. Good afternoon.
I want to start right off with you, Regan, and I want to set the stage for our audience right now because I know that the environment has changed drastically over the last 5 years. What is the environment for small businesses right now? Paint a picture for us of what this moment is like.
Thanks, Shibani. And again, good afternoon to everyone. And so jumping right in, I think it's no surprise that, one of the number one challenges facing small businesses today is the economy, right? Inflation. Goods and services cost more today for us than they did yesterday, and small businesses are feeling that. When you add to that some of the small businesses are still recovering from the economic effects of COVID, you have an environment where businesses are longing to get back to their pre-pandemic growth, or in some cases, accelerate from their pre-pandemic growth. And one of the things that the pandemic has shown us is that, the digitization of businesses is critical in doing that. These small businesses, if they didn't realize before, a lot of them realize now that, technology is so important to help them not only catch up, but compete. Because look at how we're conducting this conference, right? We're all online, and businesses recognize that, their competition may not necessarily be the business next door, but that business across the world. And so when we speak to small businesses, they recognize that, but some of them are having some challenges in meeting that. And that's why we have these types of discussions.
Terrific. Christian, anything you want to jump in on there?
I think Regan said it great. Businesses of all sizes still dealing with the aftermath of COVID and the pandemic, forced closures, supply chain disruptions. So all that kind of factors into the economic environment that they're facing, they're having some challenges with. I think the other piece is the cybersecurity concerns are continuing to get more and more prominent. As COVID kind of accelerated digitalization of businesses of all sizes, that also gave opportunity for bad actors to attack businesses of all sizes with cybersecurity attacks. And so I think that is probably more top of mind for businesses than ever before, in addition to the environment, the economy, supply chain disruptions. So it all lends to an era of challenges for small businesses, but like real opportunities to address some of those challenges with technology.
Absolutely. And going a little bit more deeper on that, given the environment, given the broad range of opportunities and challenges, as you call them, what are the core technologies that you believe that businesses need to be successful in today's market, and identify where they might be coming up short?
So I think foundationally, every business needs to start with a connectivity platform and making sure that, as we saw with the pandemic, the internet is kind of the lifeblood of businesses today. Making sure they've got the right technology, right connectivity, whether it's wired or Wi-Fi, making sure that they can connect the business to their employees, their customers, their vendors, anybody. And then from there, it's layering on things like the right cybersecurity tools, the right secure networking tools, making sure that they have visibility into what's happening on their network, whether they're one location or multiple locations, making sure that they've got visibility into what's happening there. And then, the digitalization of kind of the small businesses and businesses of all sizes has really grown such that cloud and digital is such a key part of any business, whether you're a barbershop, bakery, a law firm, making sure you've got the right technology partners and the right digital assets to drive your business forward.
Right.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Regan. No, go ahead.
And one thing to add to what Christian said is that all of those things I think are critical. But when we speak to small businesses, I think the overarching wrapper around everything that Christian just said is, but make it easy for me, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the small businesses don't have a technology team. They don't have, an IT person on staff. So it's a lot to swallow and a lot to understand. And that's why what Christian said about, being a trusted partner and someone who can work with them is so important, because it needs to be accessible, to the small business owner who already wears so many hats. And it's not just technology for technology's sake. It's what are the critical technologies like the bandwidth, the cybersecurity, and the other types of things that can help make things easier, but also help that businesses grow revenue.
Well, in addition to technology, there's lots of areas that small businesses need additional support on. It has to do around limited resources, headcount management, and then a whole host of operational needs that they just can't. Maybe they don't have the expertise on, and they don't have the bandwidth to tackle. What are some of the key areas that you see businesses needing an additional boost in addition to technology?
I think marketing support goes hand in hand with the technology support, right? You can give the business the technological infrastructure that they need, for sales, for employees, for inventory. But then the key thing is, but how do you get customers through the door, right? So I think marketing support, helping them get the word out, because like I said, they're competing not necessarily with the business next door, but the business around the world. And the other thing is just kind of help me understand where I am with my business. How can I be better at articulating my story? How can I be better about getting venture capital funding? How do I know, am I doing the right things for my company's sake? And that's one of the reasons that we formed the Comcast Rise program about 2.5 years ago within Comcast. It was formed as a pandemic response, but it has morphed into more of a business accelerator where we look at, small businesses have been hurting, in our economy. We started this conversation out with, the economy and some of the challenges that we're facing. And so it is through that lens that we formed a program that can support thousands of businesses nationwide to provide them with the marketing support to help them get their word out, with the business consultation support to help them do a diagnostic with where they are. And to Christian's point, what is the technology infrastructure to help them achieve those things? And on top of that, how do they make it secure? Because when speaking with the small businesses, they may not have been thinking about cybersecurity yesterday, but they are now. And, these small businesses, if they get hit with a cybersecurity attack, it can put them out of business as opposed to the large enterprise that can just easily recover. So cybersecurity is critical, to these businesses today.
Yeah, Christian, I'd love to have you weigh in on this as well.
Yeah, I think that Regan brought the point about marketing, right? And I think technology is really a tool to kind of drive forward, portions of the business, segments of the business. And I think what has been really interesting, and I think a great outcome of where we've been over the past few years, is the opportunity to be more of an early adopter. And so I know folks have brought up AI, right? You hear more and more businesses of all sizes ask about AI, ask about digital partnerships and digital applications. It's a willingness to adopt different technologies, and not just for technology's sake, to Regan's point, but also to drive portions of the business forward, to automate certain functions that might not be core to the small business owner's expertise.
This is a good place for me to weave in a question around AI. We have a question here, and I want to tell all of our audience members, this is an interactive session. Please do put in your questions in the chat box, and we're going to try and fold this into our discussion. And Christian was just talking about AI, and Barry Hames asked a question. If either of you have used AI yet inside of any applications, or how are you advising the teams that you work with to think about AI, given it is such a big, broad, and there's a huge learning scale that's going on, and also risks at the same time to assess. Who wants to jump in on that one?
I mean, I'm happy to jump in. I think that, AI is kind of a bit of the hot buzzword today, but it's something that is going to have a profound impact in everything that we do for years to come. And you think about things just like ChatGPT, it's really about democratizing technology and bringing artificial intelligence and large learning models into the hands of people that may not have been able to access things like that. And so what it can do, it's another example of technology, augmenting what people do and making it easier for businesses to adopt new work streams or workflows or become more efficient or more automated in things that they do every day. And so it's really kind of the beginning of the first inning for kind of this democratization of AI, but it has the opportunity to transform how we run businesses from the very smallest business up to the largest enterprise. And so I think it's something that's, certainly we are very focused on talking with our teams and figuring out how to best leverage it for our customers.
And to add on to that, and I'll kind of share a personal anecdote. When we were, having some pre-conversations, I think Christian and Shibani, you remember when we had this conversation, and I had said that, we do focus groups with small businesses every so often, just to learn and listen. And in my last focus group, with some of the small business owners, we were asking them, hey, what types of, topics would interest you that, we should put some lessons learned about or some trainings. And one of the key ones was AI. And quite frankly, it shocked me because it's like, well, even, my own self, I'm like, okay, well, wow, we're not even really using AI a whole lot, as a society when we are, but I would have never thought that small businesses are like, yeah, give me that. We want to learn how we can implement that to make us run better, faster, stronger, along the lines of a large enterprise. So that really, put a light bulb in my head to go exactly what Christian said, the democratization of IT, right? Where to level the playing field, where, it's not just this stratification between enterprises, mid-market, small businesses. No, small businesses want to learn how to operate like a big business. And AI is a tool or an application a technology that can enable that. And we specifically are hearing, the small businesses ask for, well, how can I use AI to help me better run my business? How can I use AI to give me insight and intel about my customers and how to respond? So I think the answer is more to come as we continue to learn and evolve, and the learning curve and the deployment curve, is going to elevate and go much faster when it comes to small businesses.
And the validity curve. We have a question here from Natalie around AI giving you correct information. There's also checks and balances curve and that we haven't quite figured out around AI. Can either of you quickly give some advice on how businesses can weigh on that?
Best advice I could give is just remember that it's early days. We're kind of seeing this stuff be developed in real time. And so that's why I think about AI as a tool in the toolbox and not a panacea, right? So, we can use AI to do research. We can use AI to generative AI to drive things forward, but we can't just solely rely on it, right? It should be there to augment, a human's efforts and not completely replace it, because we're such early days. And we've seen just examples of where, some of the data that comes out has been a little bit skewed. And I think, there's still more work to come on that.
Great. Right. I want to get to the poll results. Thank you to everyone who filled out the poll. And then I will have, let's start with you, Regan, chime in on whether you're surprised or not, or what jumps out at you. 56% of those who responded to the poll said that increasing business growth and acceleration is a top priority. 20% said finding trusted partnerships. 16% said implementing the right technology. And 8% said understanding and applying artificial intelligence. How does this line up, Regan, with what you're hearing on the ground when you talk to your businesses in Rise?
I'm actually so very pleased with that. I'm going to give all the folks who put this poll a thumbs up, because one, it validates some of the research and the focus groups that we've had. that, business growth and business acceleration, are some of the key things, on the mind. And that's how we within Comcast and Comcast Business have been thinking about how we align what we offer, our messaging, our products, our strategies to the small business market to help businesses achieve that acceleration. And I use the word acceleration deliberately because, when you think about the past 2.5 years, we lost a lot. Those are kind of the lost years, right? With the economic realities and with COVID. And so we're beyond the recovery phase. We're in the how do we accelerate? Because we have to gain ground over what we've lost. And we don't have time to kind of, to incrementally do that. And so businesses have I need to leapfrog where I was. I need to not just recover, but I need to be better. I need to be, again, bigger, faster, stronger. And how can these technology tools, how can all these assessments help me achieve this goal of business acceleration? So, when I'm speaking with small businesses, they're like, hey, you know what? I'm a home-based business right now, but I want to get into an actual physical storefront. Or I have 5 employees right now. I want to scale to get to 10. I'm in 2 locations. How do I get to 4? These are the conversations that we're hearing from small businesses. And it's so encouraging to hear that.
We have just under 3 minutes left, so I want to make sure we get to all of the talking points and the questions we have. We have a question from Glenn Brown, who said, I did a deal in physical and cybersecurity solutions. Can the RISE program work with a small startup like me? Tell us a little bit about the RISE program and how to get involved for our audience members.
So what I would say is just visit ComcastRise.com for the latest information, on the program. The program window recently closed for, earlier this year, but it's always going to be reopened. And yes, the program was built to support small businesses in a variety of phases, with technology infrastructure, marketing infrastructure, business consulting, and potentially some grants to help them, again, accelerate. If you read the words on the website, you'll see it's all around business growth and business acceleration, because those are the key things that we've been hearing.
Christian, I want to wrap things up now. In our final question to each of you, what should small businesses consider on their digital journey and evolution, no matter which part of it they're on? And what are some steps that our audience members can begin to consider and think about taking now?
It's a great question. I think the most important thing to think about in their digital journey is what is the end result they're trying to get to? And to Regan's point, acceleration, growth, these are the things that every business leader that I've spoken to is concerned about. And digitalization, technology, those are just tools and steps along the way. And so I think it's doing an assessment of what the business has, and identifying what they need and what they want to get to. And then it's finding those trusted partners, those trusted applications, those technologies that can help them get there.
I don't think I can add anything, more perfectly to what my colleague Christian said about kind of keeping the eyes and the ears open to what can help the business and what are some of the partners that can help you with this seamlessly and easily, so that you as a small business owner, you can make sure that you are getting back to your key, mission, which is to grow your business and not worry about the underlying technology behind it.
And Regan, I know you believe in the power of mentorship, right? We have a couple of questions here on very specific things on which applications to use, what solutions to turn to. How important is mentorship inside of a small business organization?
I think it's critical because small businesses, have so much expertise within themselves, and that could be shared with other small businesses. When we put, small business owners in a room amongst themselves, you should just see, the synapses and the brain stems firing as far as the knowledge share. And the other piece of it is also having the partnership with the corporate folks like the Christians and the me's and the Comcast, because I will tell you, I learned so much by speaking with small businesses. There's one thing about me sitting in my office in the Comcast tower. There's another thing being in the room with small businesses and hearing And not so much talking, but just listening to what's on the top of their minds and how we can craft our solutions to help with that.
Well, I have listened and I have picked up on a lot. Thank you so much, Regan and Christian, for your inputs and insights. Thank you so much to the audience for joining us today.